Let's drive all the way out to California, shall we? Perhaps we can catch sight of the charred remains left outside of a 7-Eleven of some 63-year-old dude's car. This was a pretty funny story, I thought. It looks like some bum got turned down and set the dude who turned him down on fire. Can you imagine that? One of these panhandling, scuzzy-ass motherfuckers asking you for money, you telling him to fuck off, and he tries to set you on fire and does so successfully. I mean, what the fuck is this dude, like in a wheelchair or something? I just don't know. Let's read on. We click the link and it takes us to ABC, right out of California. Police arrested a panhandler who reportedly lit a man on fire outside a convenience store in Long Beach, California after not receiving money. The 63-year-old victim was hospitalized with third-degree burns. He is in critical condition. ABC Los Angeles affiliate KABC reported Friday that a panhandler approached the victim walking into a 7-Eleven store and asked him for money. The victim said no. When the victim left the store and got into his SUV, the 37-year-old transient reportedly doused him and the inside of his vehicle with flammable substances and lit it on fire, engulfing the truck in flames with the man inside. With the door open, you could see the entire insides were ablaze, one eyewitness told Good Morning America. He came out and it was horrifying. His entire shirt was on fire. His head was on fire. Authorities said it was a random act of violence. The two men did not know each other. It's a horrific crime to think that somebody's really no motive, just sitting there minding their own business, and then to be lit on fire. Yes, it is. KABC reported that the transient was arrested and will be charged with arson and attempted murder. No shit. I bet they put him on the mentally challenged list and take his guns. What do you think? Well, personally, I think that the drones who wrote this next piece must either be retarded or really, really smart. I bet you it's the latter. I bet they were having to pause every 2 or 3 minutes while crafting this next Santa Claus tale because they had to go into fits of laughter. But of course, what was so funny wasn't the story. It was that you might believe it. That's what's so funny. Looks like our state-owned media outlet, ABC, has put out a fluff piece this morning claiming that our benevolent leaders have unwittingly funded their enemies. They must not know who Tim Osmond was. We click on the link and it takes us to ABC's The Blotter. U.S. may unwittingly fund terrorism in Afghanistan, according to a government report. The U.S. government may accidentally be funneling millions of dollars to the very terrorists and insurgents it's fighting in Afghanistan through sloppy contracting regulations, according to a new government report. Oh, man. Do you think that's where the spin occurs? Because personally, I do with this one. I think that is where the spin occurs. No doubt that they're purposely funneling millions of dollars to the very terrorists and insurgents they're fighting, but the sloppy contracting regulations are probably not as sloppy as you think. It's probably more like skillfully guided loopholes. But of course, these people are going to fucking spin it for you. And I think this is where the spin occurs in this one. Reading on. The report, called Contracting with the Enemy and published Thursday by the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, SIGAR, examined the system designed to make sure that the U.S. reconstruction is not providing business for any individuals or groups associated with terrorist or insurgent organizations. SIGAR said that due to several weaknesses in the long and complicated process, millions of contracting dollars could be diverted to forces seeking to harm the U.S. military and civilian personnel in Afghanistan and derail the multi-billion-dollar reconstruction effort. The report centered on what's known as Section 841, part of the 2012 National Defense Authorization Act that describes how the U.S. government is supposed to identify individuals or companies with suspected ties to insurgents, confirm that information, pass it along to the head of the contracting activity, then to the primary contractor, and finally to the targeted subcontractors whose business deals would then be voided or restricted based on guidance from higher up. SIGAR said that 841, that is, Section 841, was part of a variety of efforts undertaken by the government to keep American contracting money out of terrorist hands in the wake of incidents like the $2.16 billion host nation trucking contract. You remember that scandal. If you don't, brush up on it. In that instance, SIGAR said, the U.S. government paid several companies to ship more than 70% of food and material to American troops in Afghanistan. It really says material. only to realize that some of those funds were widely believed to have been funneled to insurgents. More like they properly got to where they were going. Section 841 is still full of holes, Cigar said, from the military not telling the head of contracting activity about potentially shady actors, to the head of the contracting activity not telling their contractors. The Cigar report also notes that Section 841 only applies to contracts worth more than $100,000, even though it said approximately 80% of contracts awarded in Afghanistan are worth less than that. Those little payments. Cigar made 7 recommendations to rectify the reporting loopholes, most to improve visibility over active contracts, and 1 to ditch the $100,000 threshold. The Cigar report said the military in general agreed with those recommendations, but plans to issue a formal response to the new report later. I wonder if it'll go something like this. Hey, assholes, stop looking into the way that we funnel our fucking war machine. We need money to go here, we need money to go there, and fuck you in your mouth. Thank you. At least that might be a, flash of honesty. Fuck, I might even respect it. It would be a nice change of flavor, wouldn't it? On second thought, fuck them. Alright, for the final story we'll be covering on Planet Fuck You, I have got to tell you, if the kiddies are in the room, cover their ears, because this next one is an outrage. It looks like some vampire kikes are getting all Twilight with it out in New York when it comes to a baby's bloody dick. Yeah, you heard right. Disgusting, filthy, vile animals. My goodness. This next one is really, really disgusting. We click on the link, and it takes us to the Mail Online. See, the thing is, he didn't just get all Twilight with it. The vampire kike sucked the baby's dick, gives it herpes, and then claims religious freedom. And even worse, the families fucking protect these assholes. These disgusting old men who are putting their mouth on a baby's dick. Wow. So, if you can stomach it, click the link. It'll take you to the Mail Online, the UK's website. The headline reads, 2 more babies stricken with herpes after ritual ultra-Orthodox Jewish oral blood-sucking circumcision in New York City. I can't even keep a straight face reading that shit. It's so fucking gross. 2 more infants have been infected with a deadly herpes virus in the last 3 months after undergoing a controversial religious oral circumcision in New York City. The latest cases bring the count to 13 infants since 2000, 2 of which have suffered brain damage, and 2 died from the virus, which can rapidly spread throughout its body. The ultra-Orthodox Jewish practice of Metzah blah blah requires a practitioner to orally suck the baby's penis to cleanse the open wound following its circumcision, making them susceptible to the virus. If it's a dirty-ass old man's mouth that's going on it anyways. The Department of Health says that one of the latest infants to contract the virus developed a fever and a lesion on its scrotum 7 days after the procedure. The boy later tested positive for HSV1. That virus differs from HSV2, the genital herpes, which is contracted through sexual intercourse. A herpes infection in a newborn baby has the risk of leading to severe mental illness and death, Jay Varma, Deputy Commissioner for the Disease Control at the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, told ABC News. The reason is, the baby doesn't have the same fully developed immune system as an adult. Instead of staying in the genital area, it extends throughout different organs in the body, he explained. He said it's too soon to tell whether the boys will suffer permanent effects. The identity of the rabbi who performed the circumcision is being withheld by the boys' parents, preventing the health department to step in, they said. The religious practice that dates back more than 5,000 years defies warning by the city's Department of Health, which says there is no safe way to perform the oral suction on an open wound. More modern Jewish practices use a sterile aspiration device to cleanse the wound, or a pipette, opposed to the oral sucking. But some rabbis stand grounded behind the practice, calling it a religious freedom while noting its long history. In September, the department voted to require parents to sign forms consenting to the risks of the practice after the death of 2 children who contracted the virus through the practice. The parents of those newly infected boys are said to have not signed those forms. According to Rabbi David Zwiebel, executive vice president of the Orthodox Jewish Organization, Israel of America, 2/3 of boys born in New York City's Hasidic communities are circumcised in the oral suction manner. The health department claims they've had complaints in the past by parents who say they weren't made aware that the oral practice would be performed on their child. Wow. How disgusting is that? My goodness. My fucking goodness. And shame on these parents for even letting it occur. 2/3 of the babies in the Hasidic community, I'm all for religious freedom. I say go ahead. When the rabbi wants to start sucking my kid's dick, I'm going to opt out of that religion. Okay? In fact, this case clearly demonstrates what's wrong with all institutions. All institutions are run by corrupt people. Every institution you have ever trusted in your life is a complete fucking fraud. All the government institutions, the educational institutions, the medical institutions, of course, the religious institutions. Every institution is fraud. If you believe in them, you are what I call a statist, someone who believes in the institutions. Perhaps we could say you're institutionalized. Come to think of it, I think the swine need to come and take your fucking guns.